Hi, my name is Caroline. I'm the Youth and Families Worker here at Literature Mission, and every Wednesday I'm making little craft videos for you guys to do at home. They're based on what Junior Church are looking at on Sundays, which right now is the story of Joshua. And this Sunday at Junior Church Zoom, we looked at Joshua's chapter 3 and 4, which is where the Israelites crossed the River Jordan. So last week we looked at the story of Rahab, she's over there, and she kept some spies safe when they came into the promised land, into the city of Jericho, to spy out the land that God had promised them. And they come back to Joshua and they give him a good report that the land is good and it's ready for them to take it over. So now it's time for them to cross into the promised land, but in their way is the River Jordan. And God comes and he speaks to Joshua and he says, here's how we're going to do it. If you get the priests who carry the Ark of the Covenant, the minute their feet touch the water will be pulled apart and there'll be a dry path in the middle for the Israelites to cross over. And all of the Israelites trusted God, they believed this, and so that's what they did. They camped at the side of the River Jordan, and when it was time for them to cross, the priests went in first, and as soon as their feet touched the water disappeared, and it went into like 2 dams on the side, and the Israelites crossed through, which is really cool. And once they were all on the other side, God told Joshua to pick 12 men, one from each of the 12 tribes of Israel, and each of them had to go to where the water had been cleared and pick up a stone. So they all went, they picked up their stones and they brought them out of the river, and then the priests left the waters and the river went back to normal. And then they picked up the 12 stones and they made them into a tower. And this kind of structure, tower thing, was going to remind them of what God had done for them that day. And in Joshua 4 verses 21 to 24, God tells Joshua that in the future, when their children ask them what these stones mean, this weird tower of stones, what does it mean, that Joshua and everyone else who is there that day is going to tell them about what God did. And it will be a way for future generations of Israelites to remember what God did for them that day, how powerful God is, so that they will respect him and fear him, kind of like the church looked at on Sunday. So this is what we're making today. We've got Joshua here, we've got some children who are asking what the stones mean, and then when we lift up the stones, we find Joshua 4 verse 23, which says, "For the Lord your God dried up the waters of the Jordan." So that's a good way for the Israelites to remember what God had done for them, but it's important for us to remember what God did for us as well. So at Junior Church on Sunday, we had our own tower of stones and we put things in that we were thankful for God for doing and that God had done for us. Things like sending his son to die for us, making the world, forgiving us when we ask him to. And I think that's something we can all practice at home on our own and think about when we make this craft. So I'll go ahead and show you how to make it. So the first thing you need to do is download the PDF, which you can find on our website, but I'll put a link here in the middle of the screen. And once you've downloaded the PDF, you need to print it or draw your own copy, and that will give you something that looks like this. So here we've got Joshua, 2 kids and some stones, and on the second page we've got the same stones, but this time with Joshua 4 verse 23 written inside the stones. And once you've printed them off, you need to colour them in and cut them out. So here are my ones. So we've got the 2 little children, we've got Joshua, and we've got 2 sets of stones. And once you've coloured them in and cut them out, you just need to put them to one side and we'll use them a little bit later on. So we'll put them there. The next thing you need to do is take a piece of A4 paper and draw a background. So I've got some grass at the bottom, some sky, and then just a couple of clouds. It doesn't need to be that detailed. And the next thing we need to do is just stick everything on. So the first thing we're going to stick on is this, the stones. So I'm using a double-sided sticky tape. So it goes like that, and the stones go in the centre of the page. The next ones we do are the children. And again, I'm using double-sided sticky tape because I find it easiest when it comes off. Oh, there we go. And they're going to stand here looking up at the stones. And then we're going to put Joshua on. Cool. And then we'll put Joshua here looking up at the stones. And the next thing you need to do is a bit tricky, but you need to get some double-sided sticky tape or some glue and stick up here. And then you stick it slightly higher than this one, so it'll go there. And then you can lift it up and read the Bible verse. I haven't got any more double-sided sticky tape, which is why I'm not doing it, but that will be what it looks like. And then you have these stones that the Israelites made into a tower, and then you've got Joshua as the leader of the Israelites and some children as the next generation of Israelites, looking at the stones and remembering that it was the Lord your God who dried up the waters of the Jordan. So these stones will help them to remember that God dried up the waters of the Jordan so they were able to cross it safely. And that's today's craft. I hope you enjoy it, and if you do the craft, don't forget to send us a picture so that we can show the rest of the church. And I'll see you next week. Bye!